Hello to my YouTube family, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to discuss the branches of psychology. So we have numerous branches for psychology that are abnormal psychology, behavioral psychology, biopsychology, cognitive psychology, comparative psychology, cross-cultural psychology, developmental psychology, educational psychology, experimental psychology, and forensic psychology. So these are the branches. Let's see what are the major differences between these branches of psychology. So the first one is abnormal psychology. So as the name indicates, any behavior or any characteristics that deviate from the normality or the normal behavior are called abnormal behaviors and are the part of abnormal psychology, right? So abnormal psychology basically deals with the atypical behaviors of a person. So the normal behaviors are considered as typical behaviors, normal behaviors that are according to the norms and rules set by the society. The behaviors that are acceptable by the society are called typical behaviors. But when a person deviates from typical behaviors, then their behaviors are called atypical behaviors, and those type of atypical behaviors are studied under abnormal psychology. So let's see what is it. Abnormal psychology is the area that looks at psychopathology and abnormal behavior. The term covers a broad range of disorders from depression to obsessive compulsive disorder, yeah, obsession compulsion to sexual deviation and many more. It means that anything that is abnormal in nature, that is atypical in nature, so these type of characteristics or traits are studied under abnormal psychology. So the major disorders which we specifically cover under clinical psychology are also discussed under abnormal psychology. Why? Because they're all typical atypical behaviors and uh, are the part of different type of disorders in clinical psychology, right? So this was all about abnormal psychology. Now see what is behavioral psychology. As the name indicates, this branch of psychology specifically deals with the behaviors of a person. Either they are positive in nature or they are negative in nature. But what is the main aim and objective of this branch of psychology? It means that all the behaviors that a person acquires are basically the result of either conditioning or they are the result of punishment or reinforcement. It means that either there is an association or there is a reward or punishment. So we can learn behavior through these two to three modes of communication, right? So behavioral psychology, also known as behaviorism, is a theory of learning based upon the idea that all behaviors are acquired through conditioning. So behaviorism says that a person learns different behaviors through the environment. They are not innate, but they are the learned traits from the environments. Either they are positive in nature or they are negative in nature, but a person learn all the behaviors from its surrounding, from its environment, through the process of conditioning or through the process of punishment or reinforcement or motivation, right? So the next one is biopsychology. As the name indicates, biopsychology, it means that it specifically relates to uh, the brain, to the physiological aspects of the body, right? Related to the body, related to the brain, related to the neural system of a person, related to the anatomy of a person. Biopsychology. So the branch of psychology focused on the study of how the brain influences behavior is often known as biopsychology. It means that how a brain influences the actions and reactions of the body. Although it has also been called physiological psychology. Why is it so? Because physiological is basically related to your body. Physiological is related to the entire parts of the body, the functioning of the body. Our body functions in accordance with with the orders of the brain, right? So that is why biopsychology deals with the cognitive processes and the physiological reactions in response to that. So this was all about biopsychology. Next one is cognitive psychology. So, as the name indicate, cognitive psychology, that means something that deals with thinking process, the cognitive process of a person, learning, memory, abstract thinking, logical thinking, whatever aspects that are related to our brain that are studied under cognitive psychology, right? So, cognitive psychology is a branch of psychology that focuses on internal states such as motivation, problem solving, decision making, thinking, and attention. So, all these processes are under cognitive psychology, and we are familiar with this concept that the behaviors are the response of our thinking patterns, our cognitive processes, right? Because brain gives orders to the body, to our physiological aspects, right? So all the behaviors and actions which we perform, which we act, are the response of orders from the brain, the powerhouse, right? So that is why it is a very important aspect to study the cognitions, the thinking patterns of a person. So this was all about cognitive psychology. Next one is comparative psychology. So what is comparative psychology? Comparative means to compare two things, right? So we have discussed in the earlier chapters that um, all the experiments in psychology were basically done on the animals, and the results were implemented on the humans as well. So comparative psychology basically deals with the experiments and its the results interpretation and its implementation on the human being. So this is all about comparative psychology. So comparative psychology is a branch of psychology concerned with the study of animal behaviors. The study of animal behavior can lead to a deeper and broader understanding of human psychology. It means that after studying the behaviors and actions and reactions in animals, we can easily understand the nature, the behaviors, the action and reactions in human beings as well. So next one is cross-cultural psychology. As the name indicates, cross-cultural, it means different cultures. So all the human beings act according to their culture, right? According to their cultural beliefs. So in cross-cultural psychology, basically we deals with different cultures and their thinking patterns and their behaviors with respect to their cultures. So cross-cultural psychology is a branch of psychology that looks at how cultural factors influence human behaviors, right? So this is all about cross-cultural psychology. Next one is developmental psychology. As the name indicates, developmental, it means the physical aspect, the physiological aspect, and the cognitive aspect of the person. So the development of the brain as well as the development of the body. This branch of psychology looks at development throughout the lifespan from childhood to adulthood. There are a number of stages from childhood to adulthood. Like first one is infancy, early adolescence, infancy, childhood, early adolescence, adulthood, then early adulthood, late adulthood, then old age, then death. Right. So there are numerous stages. So the scientific study of human development seek to understand and explain how and why people change throughout life. So this branch of psychology basically deals with the developmental changes that occur, that take place throughout the person's life, throughout its lifespan, right? Psychology. So, as the name indicates, educational psychology basically deals with the concerns of students related to the school's teaching criteria, educational issues, and student concerns, right? So, these are all related to the educational perspective of individuals. Next one is experimental psychology. Experimental psychology specifically deals with the experiments and the scientific studies in the in the course of psychology. Experimental psychology is a branch of psychology that utilizes scientific methods to research the brain and behavior. Basically, it focuses on the brain, the processes within the brain, and how they send different orders, different signals to the body, to the physiological aspects of a person to perform certain reactions or actions, right? So these actions and reactions, behaviors, and the cognitive processes in living organisms, either in animals or in human beings, they are studied through conducting different experiments, and there are different steps in the experiments: observation, hypothesis, experiment, then different types of observations, naturalistic observations, different experiments can be done, and then we can move towards some interpretations and analysis, right? So these are all the parts of a scientific method or scientific experiment. So these are all the aspects that we cover under experimental psychology. So the next one is forensic psychology. So forensic psychology is a specialty area that deals with issues related to psychology and law. So specifically, this is the branch of psychology that focuses on the laws and all the aspects that are related to the crime and so on. So we can say that forensic psychology is a specialized field within psychology that involves application of psychological principles and methods to legal and criminal justice matters, right? So it includes criminal investigations, legal consultations as well, and moreover, child custody and family issues and family laws, and moreover, victim services as well. So these are all the points that we cover under forensic psychology. So then comes clinical psychology. Clinical psychology is quite relatable to abnormal psychology as it deals with specifically with the disorders, their formal and informal assessment of the individuals. Informal assessment includes the history of the person, the family history, occupational history, educational history, what else? Personal history as well, right? Social history. So informal includes the history and all the problems that are related to the specific disorder, right? And the formal assessment that includes specifically the test of psychology that deals with the disorder. Every test is related to certain disorder or certain problem. So in clinical psychology, we do informal and formal assessments as well. Then we diagnose that what is the disorder the person is having at the same time, and what will be the possible treatments that can be given to an individual as well, right? So these are the aspects that we cover under clinical psychology. So the branch of psychology concerned with the assessment and treatment of mental illness and behavioral problems. So the last one is counseling psychology. As the name indicates, counseling psychology basically it's a therapy. It's a talking therapy. Through a conversation, we deal with the problems of the individuals. The problems may be they are related to the family issues, the relationship issues, social issues, and number of issues. But the counseling psychology is a talking therapy through which through a conversation we as a psychologist try to solve the problems of the individuals, right? So counseling psychology is a journal practice and health service provider specialty in professional psychology. It focuses on how people function both personally and in their relationships at all ages, done through conversation. So it was all about the branches of psychology. So thank you so much.